Welcome back to another episode of the vlog. Okay, so today what we're going to do is answer some of your most frequently asked fitness questions. Because I haven't really been able to do anything this week. So we probably should go over like that, I guess, and then we'll go from there. So basically, long story short, I've been prepping, as y'all know, for the last little bit, and my body just kept hitting a wall, okay? Hitting a wall. It was like, you know what, maybe there's something more going on, especially because my weight hasn't changed in like 3 weeks. My body composition has, but I could tell that I was really inflamed. So basically ended up going to a naturopath in case anyone is interested or has this stuff happening to them. And they told me that my immune system was overactive. So I have a lot of allergies, as we know, if you've been following me for a while. I'm not allowed to work out for like 2 to 3 weeks. We're gonna make them interesting and spicy with things like this, like a Q&A, so that you guys can see what other people are doing, because I don't want to bore you. And also I still wanna keep doing these videos and providing value. So we're gonna ask some fitness questions. Okay, so number one, how often should I exercise? I got this question the other day. Ladies, how often can you exercise? Okay, so 3 times a week is like the magic number. Okay, 3 times a week is like a fantastic time, like amount to work out. We're not talking about also like walks or, you know, if you have like yoga, stretching, all this kind of stuff. But like 3 times a week, resistance training is ideal. If you can only fit 2 times a weekend, start there. If you can only fit 1 time a weekend, start there and then work your way up, okay? So just because 3 times is like the ideal, 4 to 5 times is like you've been doing this for a while and it's just a habit and now you can like do that all the time. 3 times a week is like the goal when you're first starting, and then 1 to 2 times a week if you're just getting started, okay? What time of the day is the best to work out? You can work out whenever, morning, afternoon, middle of the day, whatever works. The only thing that I would say with workouts is that try not to eat protein right before you work out. You're going to notice that your workouts, you're going to be kind of tired during your workouts because your body's digesting food. So that's the one thing that I would say, like a lot of beginners do wrong. They'll go eat like a giant meal and then they'll be like, I'm going to work out right after dinner. I'm like, well, probably not the best idea. So be mindful of that. How long should my workouts be? So for your workouts, 30 minutes, 20 minutes is fine to start. And then eventually you want to get to like 45, 50, 60 minutes and things like that. Do I need to warm up before my workout? I would, like 5 minutes on the elliptical or on like the treadmill, quick walk. If you don't have any access to fitness equipment, like the cardio machines, things like that, I would just do a few warm-up sets of whatever exercises you're doing. So like if you have shoulder press first, do a few like lighter reps of that and just make sure things are warmed up and then get into your workout. We're doing rapid fire today. Should I do strength training, cardio, or both? Depends on your goal. Normally I would suggest strength training and cardio, as well as whatever else you'd like. So strength training is going to be important whether you're a runner, whether you want to tone up, whether you want to lose weight, build muscle, build strength, be healthier, maintain your current weight, all of these things. So when your body has less muscle mass, you are going to burn less calories at rest, yes. But I think the amount of calories that people think they burn when they have muscle mass is a lot more than actually what happens. The biggest thing that matters overall is your NEAT movement, which is how much you're moving throughout the entire day, okay? So that is number one, at least when it comes to fat loss. But what active muscle does is that like every time you guys move or do stuff, you're using muscles to perform those movements. Like even right now, this requires muscle. The more fat mass you have, it's kind of like wearing a backpack. And so like, as much as I move my arm, the fat isn't helping me move my arm. It's just moving with my arm. And so when you have more muscle mass, every time you do these movements, you are going to notice that like throughout the day, you're burning more calories. Your metabolism speeds up, which is the processes in your body, right? You just have more active tissue. And the way that your body uses calories when you have active tissue is different than when you don't have active tissue. So by working out and at least like trying to incorporate strength training, you're going to notice that the way that your body looks, the way that it feels, the way that it utilizes food, it's totally different. And so that is like the main benefit, in my opinion, on having more muscle mass, okay? Not necessarily that it's gonna burn more calories at rest, that like your body's gonna utilize those calories different. And that's what we want, okay? So we're going to get through my workouts. What should I do? So if you're struggling to get through your workouts, you need quick wins. Quick wins, that's my biggest thing, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go find either, if you guys are in our free group, you're more than welcome to join that. We have like some quick little workouts that you can do. I want you to go do like 5 crunches, or whatever, 5 sit-ups or 5 dead bugs, 10 squats, whatever the case might be, for like a day or two. Just get a workout done, whatever it is. So instead of looking at your whole workout maybe and being like, oh, that's a lot, like I don't know if I can do that, pick like 3 exercises and I want you to just bang them out for like 2 or 3 days in a row. You're going to notice that by getting those quick wins, you're then going to be motivated to try a little bit more. Right now, you're demotivated because whenever you go to do something, you're not doing it. And so you keep following through on these promises. So we actually have little mini workouts in our client community that you guys can do if you guys are on the team. So that if you have a day where you're like demotivated and you're like, oh, I want to get something in, but I don't have 30 minutes. It's like a 5 to 10 minute workout that you can do to just keep that momentum going. When you first get started, the goal is to not break the chain. So for example, if you have like 7 days and you're like, oh no, I've only done like 3 workouts, but I'm supposed to do 4, or I've only done 1 workout, I'm supposed to be doing 2 to 3, then you can do one of those quick workouts to make sure that you hit your goal. It's not going to be the best thing for your overall progress, but it's going to keep you in that state of momentum, which is then going to pay off overall in the long term. How often do I need a rest day? 1 time a week minimum. Normally 1 to 2 times a week if you're like a beginner, because I find normally they're pretty sore because their nutrition is a little low. So if your protein's low, you're not really recovering, you're always sore. 2 times. If you're able to like eat pretty consistently, then 1 time is fine. What should I be doing to lose weight? I want to get rid of my belly fat. Okay, so ladies, if you want to get rid of your belly fat, the biggest thing that you can do, and we'll do like 2 more questions, is 1, you really want to make sure that you're focusing on strength training, obviously, but also incorporating your protein intake. So protein intake is going to help you feel more satisfied. It's going to keep you satiated throughout the day, which is basically more full. But it's also going to, it really does help with cravings. It helps with overeating, all that kind of stuff. The second thing that I would say with nutrition is like, y'all have to stop eating everything at night. You can eat at night, that's not a big deal, but you're not eating all day because your stress is so high, and then you're eating everything at night. So figuring out ways to help manage your stress is going to be very huge. Even in the last 3 days, so I used to be a person also that was like, oh, I'm not normally hungry in the morning, but I just ate anyways. And I noticed it is definitely because of my stress, because since my stress has come down, I am starving throughout the morning. I'm starving throughout the middle of the day. I'm starving at night. And like, it's not like painful, like I'm, oh my gosh, I have to eat. But like, I can definitely tell that my hunger signals are like, we're hungry, give us food. We're hungry, give us food, right? And so what happens is as soon as that stress comes down, you get like a whole whack of like hunger signals. And at night, right now, when you go to eat, you're eating everything because you haven't been thinking about food all day. And then as soon as you start thinking about food, you're like, oh my God, it's too late. Like I haven't prepped everything, I'm hungry. Like, and then you just eat anything. Whereas like if you have more of a regular, consistent schedule with your meals, you're going to notice you start getting hungry at the same days or at the same times every day, because hunger is a habit. And so like if you eat at the same time every day, you're going to be hungry at those days. So not only, yes, is your stress and then eating at the end of the day a problem, but it also shows me that you're not eating consistently, because if you were, you would also notice that like at that same time, you're hungry every single day. So if you're hungry every day at 8 o'clock, then why don't you already have a meal prepared for like, you know, at the end of the day at 8 o'clock, that kind of thing. So it just gives me an idea that like your nutrition is all over the place because you don't know what's going on, which is okay. But that can give you guys an insight, which is like your stress needs to be managed a little bit better than it is. And I think you already know that. Your caffeine probably needs to be managed a little bit better than you think it does. And you know that. And then the eating at night, well, that's more of a symptom, whereas the eating habits are the problem. Okay. And then obviously like strength training, you can do some cardio, things like that. I think we get hyper focused on separate areas, but you just have to work your body as a whole. How can I increase my lean muscle mass? So lean muscle mass and muscle mass are the same thing. It's the same thing. The biggest difference is that like marketing, honestly, lean muscle mass is marketing. So lean muscle mass and market, like basically what someone says when they're like, I want to gain lean muscle mass is like, I don't want to gain a shit ton of weight in order to put on muscle, which I respect. I get that. So what you're going to do is this. You're going to eat enough protein, eat enough calories that you can actually build muscle, because it does take quite a bit of calories. And you're going to slowly build your calories up from where you're at right now to that said point, whatever that might be. Okay. And so when you do that, you're going to notice that you're going to be able to minimize muscle gain because your body's getting used to the calories at each marker as it comes up, rather than just jumping to that higher amount. So that will help quite a bit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then lifting heavy. I always talk about the nutrition, but the training part is like, then just lift heavy. When you're losing weight and building muscle, you really don't have to change the way that you're lifting. You just keep lifting heavy and you keep progressing your program, and then you adjust your nutrition accordingly. So the training is like this. You just have a progress at like where you need to go, and then your nutrition changes as you go through phases. How much weight should I use when strength training? This is the one that we will finish off with. So how much weight should I use when strength training? So strength training, it's really relative. Basically, if you have like 8 to 10 reps, you want to make sure, so if you're supposed to do an exercise 8 to 10 times, you want to make sure that you can do that exercise for say 2 to 3 sets of the 8 to 10. As soon as you can do like 3 sets of the 10 reps, you want to increase your weight so that you can only do 8. Once you get really good at the 8 with that weight, then you're going to try that weight for 10. Once you hit 10 with that weight, then you're going to increase the weight again, and so on and so forth. So you're always starting with the heavier one, and then like you might get some that you hit 9, some you hit 8, some you hit 10, and then eventually it'll be like 10, 10, 10. And then once you start hitting like 10 more consistently, then you up the weight. The other question I got very frequently was intermittent fasting, so I will touch on that. Intermittent fasting, I just did a video on this. I don't love, because I think people think it's like the end all be all. It's like the god of fitness. Guys, you don't need intermittent fasting to see results. Intermittent fasting is a fancy way of saying we're going to eat within this time window. I'm not going to eat before or after, and I'm going to wait later on in the day so then I can eat at night. I get how it can be appealing because you're like, I already eat at night. So now I just eat in this time window and then I won't eat at night. But the thing is that right now you have 24 hours in a day. You have probably 12 that you're awake, if not more, depending on your work schedule. And I guess like 16 hours awake, but it doesn't really matter. So during that time period, you're like, well, I already have the whole day and I can't, I'm eating all day. So that's my problem. That's not the problem though. The problem is that you have the entire day and you're still not hitting your calories. You're not eating enough food, and then you're eating a lot at night, and then you think you're over your calories. But if you actually tracked everything, you'd probably notice that you're within 1,000 to 1,200 calories. Obviously, you might be watching this and you're like, I'm actually eating like 4,000. Congrats, you have a totally different problem. But most ladies that watch my channel tend to be under eating. So when you're under eating and then you're eating everything at night, it makes you feel guilty and it makes you feel like you're overeating, but you're not actually overeating. You're just eating in one time period and you feel guilty because you're stuffed. Okay. However, throughout the day, you're not really eating that much. So at the end of the day, you're actually eating like 1,200 calories. And so my question is like, if you're barely eating 1,200 calories throughout the day, what makes you think that a shorter window is better when you can't even eat the amount of calories you need with a larger window? You see what I'm saying? So you're basically just like cutting yourself off. And then if you like decide that, say you stop eating at 7 and you decide to eat at 8 because you're starving, you then feel guilty because then you're not following your diet and you're not following the protocol, which means you're not going to lose weight and you're not going to see results, and like all this like starts spiraling. And so then it also like really wrecks your relationship with food also. And so there's like all these other things like mentally that happen along with it. And so I'm not a big fan of it because I don't think most women it's a good idea. And also hormonal health wise, as much as people say that like not eating is great for your hormones, I've definitely seen the opposite effect. So I personally don't agree with that statement. If you do, that's cool, but I just don't agree with that statement. Yeah, I just think there's more benefit of like learning what you're actually consuming, how much to consume, things like that. And right now you're in a better spot where you need to actually learn how to eat properly. What foods make you feel good, what foods don't make you feel good, what foods make you bloated, what foods do you feel guilty about, things like that. And then you're going to be able to see the progress and incorporate tools like intermittent fasting or higher carbs sometimes, or higher fats or high protein, or whatever you want to name your eating, but you don't have to name the way that you eat. Like I technically eat flexible dieting, but like I don't put a name on the way that I actually eat. That's just like the closest thing that I could come up with, because I don't think that makes sense. Like it's just, I eat the way that I eat. You know what I mean? So once you put yourself under this label, then you feel like you have to identify underneath that. And I don't think that's also productive, because there's different times of your life where you might have to incorporate different tools. Like if I go to a barbecue, maybe I wake up a little bit later on Saturday and then I just decide, I'm not really that hungry. I'm just going to eat when I get to the barbecue and I eat more. Technically that's intermittent fasting, but I'm not going to say that that's all I do. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to do that. But I think a lot of ladies, when they don't understand nutrition, it's easier to follow a set of protocols because it's less thinking. However, if you actually just figure out what you enjoy, it's a lot less thinking overall. So the way that we do it, it might be more effort when you first start, but then it's less effort for the rest of your life. Whereas like with those kind of things, it's like, it's more effort at the beginning, or less effort at the beginning, because it's like, here, do this. And you're like, okay, I just have to follow this. But then for the rest of your life, you have no idea what you're doing. So it's like a catch-22, like it's just what do you want? So yeah, so that's what my opinion is. Take it or leave it, right or wrong. That's what I think. So yeah, that's it. Enjoyed this video. Tried to just give as much value as possible. If you guys want me to do more of this, comment down below, Q&A, or like whatever you like the best about this. And make sure that you follow and like for more. It's very, very easy to get confused in the fitness world. And if I can help you guys just understand a little bit better about yourself, about fitness, about nutrition, and keep it super simple, I think there's going to be less confusion and a lot less people will be gaining weight after they lose it. And hopefully we can get that like obesity cycle to stop. That would be awesome. So I hope you have the best day ever. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.